They didn't just want my money. They wanted my name, my sanity, and my very existence. They were a ghost firm, a syndicate of emotional assassins, and Julian, he was just the handsome face on the flyer. They say the devil doesn't come in a red cape with horns. He comes in a tailored Italian suit, smelling of sandalwood and expensive whiskey, with a smile that feels like home when your world is burning down. His name was Julian Thorne. To the world, he was a philanthropist, a soul searcher, a gentleman. To me, he was a predator who specialized in the most profitable currency on earth, grief. My father's death didn't just leave a hole in my heart. It left me with $100 million empire I wasn't ready to lead. At the wake, I was drowning. That's when I saw him. He wasn't like the other vultures in suits trying to talk business. He was just there, standing in the rain, looking at the casket with a look of such profound, quiet understanding. When he finally approached me, he didn't offer a business card. He offered a handkerchief and a single sentence.
The noise must be deafening right now. Would you like someone to help you find the silence?
I fell for it. Not because I was weak, but because I was hollowed out, and Julian Thorne looked like the only thing that could fill the void. Julian was a master of the slow fade. He never told me to stop talking to my friends. Instead, he'd plant seeds.
Is Sarah really here for you, Amelia? Or is she just excited about the gala tickets you can provide now? Your lawyer, Marcus, he looks at you like a balance sheet, not a human being. It breaks my heart to see you used.
He became my comfort system. He moved into my estate, not as a lover at first, but as a protector. He'd cook, he'd listen, he'd hold me while I cried. He made himself the center of my universe by slowly turning off the lights of everyone else's stars. Within 6 months, I had blocked my cousins, fired my longtime assistant, and moved my legal affairs to a boutique firm Julian recommended. I was in a golden cage, and I had handed him the keys. The turning point came on a Tuesday. I found a burner phone in the pocket of his blazer. I wasn't looking for it, I was just being a doting partner. On it was a single message from an unsaved number. The target is isolated. Proceed to the liquidation phase. She's ready. My blood turned to ice. Target? Liquidation? That night, Julian came home with roses. He was as charming as ever, but for the first time, I saw the mask. I noticed how his smiles never reached his eyes. I realized he wasn't looking at me. He was looking through me at the art on the walls and the deed in the safe. I knew if I confronted him, I'd lose. He had already started drugging my nightly tea, just enough to keep me groggy and unstable in front of the few staff members left. I had to play the part of the crumbling heiress while secretly fighting for my life. I reached out to the one person I had treated the worst under Julian's influence, Marcus, my father's best friend and head lawyer. I sent a one-line email, "The silence is too loud. Help me." Marcus didn't hesitate. Within hours, we were meeting in a dingy diner 3 towns over. He brought Sarah, my best friend. They didn't judge me. They didn't say, "I told you so." They brought files. Julian Thorne wasn't Julian Thorne. He was a professional con artist of the heart. There were 3 other women before me. All wealthy, all grieving, all now living in studio apartments or psychiatric wards, their fortunes vanished into offshore accounts. We hatched a plan. We wouldn't just leave him, we would ruin him. Julian didn't work alone. While he was holding my hand at my father's funeral, a man named Vance was in a van 3 blocks away, hacking into my home security. A woman named Sloan was posing as a paralegal in my father's old firm, shredding the documents that could have protected me. I remember the first time I felt followed. A black SUV with tinted windows. It trailed my town car from the cemetery to the estate. I told Julian I was scared, He hugged me and whispered,
It's just the paparazzi, darling. I'll handle the security from now on.
What I didn't know was that he wasn't protecting me from the SUV. He was the one who ordered it to follow me to keep me in a state of constant fear. As I recovered my senses, I found the dark web of their operation. They called it Project Phoenix. Julian was the empath. His job was the seduction. Vance was the ghost, the tech expert. And Sloan was the liquidator. One night, I feigned sleep. I watched Julian step onto the balcony. He didn't know I had installed a voice-activated recorder in the planter.
She's cracking. The isolation is 90% complete. Vance, keep the SUV on her tail when she goes to see her aunt tomorrow. I want her paranoid. I want her to think only I can keep her safe. Sloan, start the shell company transfers. We move the first 20 million on Friday.
For 2 weeks, I pretended to be the vulnerable woman he wanted. I signed papers he put in front of me, but Marcus had swapped them for confession of judgment documents and trackers. The night Julian thought he was transferring the final $40 million to his Cayman's account, he finally dropped the act. He stood over me in the library, his voice cold and devoid of the warmth I had loved.
You were so easy, Amelia. Grief makes people so incredibly stupid. You didn't need a soulmate. You needed a sedative. And I was happy to provide.
I looked up at him, my eyes clear for the first time in a year. I wasn't stupid, Julian. I was just waiting for you to hit send. The doors burst open. It wasn't just the police, it was the federal agents Marcus had been working with. The send button hadn't moved money. It had sent his entire browser history, IP logs, and recorded confessions thanks to the bugs Sarah helped me hide, directly to the DA's office. Julian's face went from arrogant to ashen in seconds. The architect of grief was let out in handcuffs, screaming that I was nothing without him. The courtroom was freezing. Julian sat at the defense table, still trying to give me that charming look. But this time, I didn't look away.
Your Honor, we aren't just looking at a thief. We are looking at a syndicate. We have 4,000 hours of encrypted data recovered from the Ghost server. We have the liquidator, Sloan, who turned state's evidence the moment she realized she was facing 30 years.
The judge, a woman who looked like she'd seen it all, looked Julian dead in the eye.
Mr. Thorne, you used the most sacred human emotion, grief, as a crowbar to pry open a woman's life and bleed it dry. You didn't just steal currency, you attempted to steal a soul. The verdict. Julian Thorne, 45 years without parole. Vance, 20 years for wire fraud and illegal surveillance. Sloan, 10 years reduced for testimony. Court adjourned.
I visited him once. Not for closure, I didn't need his permission to heal, but to see the man behind the mask. He looked gray. The Italian suits were replaced by orange polyester. The sandalwood scent was gone, replaced by the smell of bleach and despair.
You think you won, Amelia? You're still alone.
No, Julian, I'm finally surrounded by people who don't have a price tag. Enjoy the silence you promised me. You have 45 years of it now. The liquidator had hidden the money in a complex web of Bitcoin and offshore real estate. It took 3 years, but Marcus didn't stop. We clawed it back, every single cent. But I didn't want the blood money anymore. I kept what I needed to rebuild my father's legacy, and the rest, I started the Phoenix Foundation. We provide legal and psychological protection for vulnerable heirs and survivors of domestic manipulation. We turned Julian's Project Phoenix into a literal fire that burns predators like him. People ask me if I can ever trust again. The answer is yes. But trust isn't a spark anymore. It's a slow-built bridge. Marcus was there when I was screaming in my sleep. He was there when I was broke during the asset freeze. He didn't offer me roses or sandalwood, he offered me coffee and truth. One evening, overlooking the city we saved from the syndicate, he didn't ask me to marry him to merge empires. He asked because he loved the woman who was brave enough to jump out of a vent into a laundry truck. To the predators watching this, We are learning your patterns. To the victims, you are stronger than the grief they are using against you. My name is Amelia. I lost a fortune, I lost my mind, but I found my life. And that is a wealth they can never liquidate.